Look at that. You're on the show. I'm going to
Hi.
do the fancy title run and then we'll chat. One moment. There we go.
Perfect.
How you doing on this? Fine. I assume you have snow and cold as well.
We do. It's not that bad though. It's
No?
no. I bring out the dogs and my tank top.
Maybe it's just me. I'm not used to it. I'm starting to think I'm also, is that a Fat Foot Films t-shirt or tank top behind you?
Oh yeah.
Covered in blood?
Yeah, this is my my wall of just a bunch of memorabilia and
So is mine. My career is just much sadder. No. I think either everyone in like Boston and Massachusetts has a Fat Foot Film shirt, or they're just leaving me out of the club.
No.
Those guys are great at branding themselves. I've seen all of their stuff. Yeah. So you have 3 shorts that are on. You've done a million shorts and projects when I look at your IMDb, but you have 3 that are on Reveel'd. There's Cody, or Codi. I don't know how they prefer to pronounce it. Love at First Boot, the comedy, and then the highly disturbing home invasion story, Dollface.
Dollhouse, yeah.
Dollhouse, geez, yeah. Look at that.
And I'm in Mustache Brigade.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
That didn't come up in the search, but I definitely saw you in that now that I think of it, because I watched through it all. So you know, that being said, you seem to be a bit of a fixture in the Massachusetts film community. You pop up in lots of stuff that I see there. You know, and a lot of that, as I just mentioned, with your shirt hung up in the background. Several of those have been with Fat Foot Films. So sort of, how did you connect with those guys? Which project came first, and what's that working relationship like?
They're my guys. I love working with Fat Foot Films. We had been connected for a long time. I actually think Love at First Boop was our first project. And it was perfect. It was amazing. Everything and more than I expected.
That was shot as a 48-hour film challenge, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
What's the pressure? Is that more stress for you as an actor, or is that all the stress on the production crew, and your job stays the same when there's those kind of time constraints?
I think it's a little bit of both, because especially as you get more comfortable with the film company that you're working with, you know, you tend to kind of all work together, because you know it's such a time crunch, and that's a lot of work crammed into such a short amount of time. So it's so much fun though. I love the challenge. I love any challenge. So I have a lot of fun doing the 48s.
I've only ever edited one. I don't have the guts to try directing and producing and editing one. It doesn't strike me as fun. Challenging, yes. Fun, no. How did you find your start in acting? You're not in a traditional film center, as they say.
Yeah. So I actually started out in theater.
Okay.
I do a lot of theater. I haven't done theater in a while, but I started out there, and I don't know. I always wanted to be in film. Kind of cliche, but like since I was a little girl, I don't know. I think it was funny enough, after my divorce, I started looking into, everything, exploring the whole film industry, getting out there, and it just kind of blossomed from there.
So is that, but what do you do? Are you going to film festivals? Are you emailing producers? Are you finding open auditions on Craigslist? Like, what's the strategy? How do you get that first foot going?
Everything. I actually looked up, so they're newenglandfilm.com, and that's how I first got in. And then from there, it just kind of blossomed. You look on, there's Facebook groups that you can join, and they have all kinds of casting notices up there. There's a whole bunch of different, ways to find auditions, and but a lot of it's word of mouth now. I've been around for a while, so I have, people reach out to me and say, hey, this person worked with you, and we're looking for this actress, or just my reel. They've seen my reel, and they're like, oh, hey.
That's the reel. As you can build a reel, that seems to be, as I mentioned earlier, I'm married to an actor, so I know that every January 1st, it's like I get to have my New Year's Eve, and then New Year's Day is, hey, do my new reel, edit my new reel,
Yeah.
make my new reel.
Yeah.
So I think
Perfect.
I know that's super important, but what you say, the word of mouth is that's where you want to be, because when projects start to come to you and people kind of know that you're reliable and show up and do a good job and have seen your work in other projects, that's always the best, I think, for an artist, and not have to, when you don't have to chase as often. It
Right.
gets, it's a little bit of a different pace.
Yeah. I still submit to different projects that I see. I love, like I said, I love challenges. So if I see something that looks interesting, I submit and everything, but I get a lot of work, working with the same companies even.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we talked, you mentioned that reaching out on social media to find gigs and things. How important then does social media become as an actor as well, to promote yourself and promote projects?
It is extremely important, I think. I have found a lot of work using social media. It's kind of ridiculous, but I don't think I could ever, I don't know, take myself off of social media because of that.
I often wish that I could, but I have an immense fear of not. So many, directing music videos, so many bands will use like DM on Instagram or Facebook to reach out and ask about music videos. I'm like, oh, if I just remove that, then all of that work might disappear,
Yeah.
I don't trust people enough to come find me some other way. That's, the best way to say it. So with Dollhouse, you not only starred in the film, but you co-wrote the film.
Yeah.
What was that transition? Had you always wanted to work behind the camera? Or was that just sort of a toe in the water to see if you enjoyed it?
Well, I love being creative, and I get these ridiculous ideas sometimes, and I just kind of, I just write them down on paper. I'm not, I'm definitely more of an actress than a writer. So that's why I went to Alan Dillingham with Kill-Attainment Films, and I kind of had this idea pop in my head, of Dollhouse, and ran it by him. And then, we just kind of got together and he wrote the film. I kind of had the idea, and we kind of, I threw in some extra things in there. And it was very, very cool to see it all come to life. This is actually the bed. Where is it? This side. This is the bed from there.
a piece of the bed?
So if you watch the film, you see that I destroy something.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
And that is the actual piece, or
amazing.
One of the pieces from it. Yeah.
I like that. But you have children, and you have all these bloody ornaments up around the wall. That's actually a question I have. Is like, hey, please tell me your children have not seen Dollhouse.
So they actually have. It was a lot of fun. They, my kids, they're amazing. They're such they're awesome kids. They know that I'm an actress, and it's funny because they know there are a lot of movies that I don't let them see, but we love watching scary movies, horror movies, and they know that it's all acting, and they know that everything that they see in there, they're starting to respect the things that I point out, like camera angles, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did they get that? But I actually had a lot of fun coming home, and like after filming Dollhouse, I would come home in character and I would kiss them goodnight.
No. Well, listen, I hope that you have an incredibly successful acting career just for paying the therapy bills of your children when they're older. Yes.
They love it, and they have me do the doll face laugh all the time.
I wanted to ask about that. How many times do you think you did that laugh during that entire shoot?
Oh gosh, I don't think there's enough numbers in the world. Like
it's up there with like the Chucky laugh from Child's Play or something. It feels like, is that a difficult acting challenge to, that character is just sort of a pure psychopath. There's not really there's no other side to her. And does that become a challenge to maintain that through the entire film? Like it's such a heightened performance, like to keep that going take after take, hour after hour.
It's tiring, but it was really easy to stay in the character, because It's such an awesome feeling. Like once you embrace that character and you just kind of, you know, definitely not method, because it would be awful if I was coming home as, well, I guess I just said I came home as Dollface. But I mean, I'm not actually, you know, doing the things that Dollface would do. But it was definitely tiring. You know, especially like you said, take after take, and, you know, bringing that same energy to each take. And it's tiring, but it was not easy. It just had a nice flow, I guess. It was good to just jump right back into the character.
And what's the sort of process? You're making that film. I mean, is it a small crew? Is it a large crew? Like how many kind of days and nights does it take to put something like that together? Because I know when you're dealing with special effects makeup, everything becomes a bit of a longer process. Yeah.
I think that was the hardest part, the makeup for Dollface, because, you know, we had the pictures to go by. We had different makeup artists on different days because they, you know, the first original makeup artist wasn't available for all the days. So it was more the fact, I think, getting everything the same to look the same. You know, it helped that I was there, you know, so I knew what certain things were supposed to look like. If something didn't look, you know, right. But if you watch the film and you see, you know, there's a certain scene, without giving anything away.
Sure.
There's a scene where I get hit in the head. And if you watch, when I come back up, I have a shatter. So it was that too, you know, picking up shots and trying to have the shatter looking the same, which was extremely difficult because there was so much detail.
I think sometimes people don't realize as audience members that, yes, there are multiple makeup artists or sometimes a team that will work on even, you know, Hollywood movies, independent, doesn't matter. And that those artists, their artistry has to be so good that they match exactly, you know, the continuity photos of what are happening. That's a real skill to be a makeup artist or a cinematographer or anything where you have to match what someone else is doing, because, you know, that's like asking two artists with a paintbrush to paint exactly the same photo in a sense. And I don't know that that's always appreciated. So I mean, I'll say watching the film, I didn't notice anything. I think, you know, you're sucked into the story in this sort of psychopath's world. Are you a fan? So you say you watch horror movies at home. Have you always been a fan of horror movies?
Oh yeah. My I kind of grew up on my dad I watched you know, Freddy and all that growing up. So it's kind of my thing, I guess.
What's
I like all genres, but
do you have a favorite horror movie, and is there a family favorite horror movie?
I don't know if I have a favorite. Pet Sematary was always one that I would go back to. I think Pet Sematary, I would say, if I had to choose one. I don't know why. But
that's you're talking the original Pet Sematary, the original 1989 Stephen King one. Yeah, it's wonderful.
I mean, the most recent one isn't bad. It's good, you know, but I grew up on the original, so, you know.
No, the remake's bad. We can say it. It's fine. Yeah. No, nobody will hold us accountable.
And you want to know something fun? This is kind of off topic,
sure.
But I work in nursing, and I had a resident at one of the places I worked at, and she was actually in Pet Sematary. She was,
oh, no kidding.
Like I think there was a vet, or I think she played a veterinarian or something like that. It was really cool though.
Was that shot in Massachusetts, or did she kind of move from California?
Maine, I think, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it's always set in Maine if it's Stephen King, but I don't know if they actually shoot everything there. Yeah.
I actually don't know.
And then tell us about working on Cody.
Cody, yeah. That was, you know, obviously with Fat Foot Films. And they're my guys. I had a lot of fun. And I worked with Eddie again, and just like a bunch of the same crew and actors and new actors that, you know, I've worked with before, Anthony. And it was a lot of fun. They always make the set there is always professional, but it's like fun and goofy, and, you know, it's perfect.
Keeping it light. It should, and that's what it should be. It should be, you know, we work in entertainment. We should be able to entertain ourselves along the way.
Yeah.
How you work in so many different genres, to like
Mhm.
Dollface to Love at First Boop are opposite ends of the spectrum.
Spectrum.
Do you have a favorite genre?
Uh, hmm. I love them all. I really do, but I think I end up more towards horror, thriller.
Hmm.
Those, yeah.
Is there a genre and a role, like a type of role character that you haven't been able to play yet that you're dying to do?
Hmm. I don't. I don't think so. I think I have such a, you know, yeah. I don't think that there's a character that I've been wanting to do.
Hmm.
Definitely lots, people that have reached out to me with films, and the characters are, I'm just drawn to them. But I played like Dollface. She's such an extreme character, and that was like, it sounds like kind of crazy to say, but it was like really awesome to play a character like that.
Well, I
Um,
think it's so different than anyone in everyday life that there's
yeah,
I think you have a freedom to explore a character like that because it's so over the top. There's nothing you can do that's too big or too wrong almost.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like she was just ridiculous to play. So I played this like extreme psychopath,
Hmm.
and then I have other films where I'm the victim. And I've died multiple times, and I make it fun with the kids. Like, I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going off to die tonight. I'll see you later.
My wife will say if she's not splattered in blood, mud, or sweat, then she's in the wrong genre. Essentially, people won't recognize her.
Yeah.
How did you have you had a chance to see Dollhouse with an audience, like at festival screenings or anything like that?
Yeah. So we
Are,
went to it showed at a drive-in theater in Maine.
yep.
And it was really cool because I dressed up as Dollface. So when it premiered, I was running from car to car, completely in complete character, and scaring everybody, and just kind of walking around and laughing, and it was a lot of fun.
Did somebody get that on tape? Because that's great marketing material.
Right?
Yeah, that would terrify me.
Yeah, there were a lot of videos, a lot of pictures taken that night. So it was so much fun.
I was going to ask if people were scared of you after seeing the movie, but if you were there as Dollface, then the answer is yes. There's no other way around it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have. I try to make sure that people know that I am a normal person. I'm not as psychotic as Dollface, even though even though I somehow have that in me, and to pull it out of me. But I'm not her.
How any chance of a Dollhouse? Geez, I keep saying Dollface. Dollhouse 2?
It's okay. We actually were in the talks of making it into a feature length. Yeah.
Have you seen the home invasion greats like Strangers and Funny Games and all those types of movies? The Purge, home invasion movies are always terrifying to me. I think I could definitely see that being expanded as a feature.
Yeah. So we're looking into it. We're hoping that it can happen.
Sure. You looked, according to IMDb, you made more movies during the pandemic than anybody in history. There's so many things for 2020 on you, and I don't know if those are things that were done in 2019 and shot, or were you working a lot during the pandemic?
They were during the pandemic, yeah. So
what's the process there? I mean, I know it's a different world, and so many productions, big and small, have been shut down. But you seem to have found people that were figuring out how to make it happen.
Yeah, that's what I mean. A lot of it was word of mouth, and some of it, like Lenny Schwartz, he had 3 films that I was a part of that was all done remotely. So he pieced it all together. He had all of his actors film their scenes themselves, and he pieced it all together.
Crazy.
It was amazing. So that's 3 right there. And then a lot of the sets that I worked on, it was amazing. The steps that they went through to make it safe. Everyone was wearing masks except for the actors, of course.
Of course, yeah.
That's a little silly. But it was, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, oh gosh, I'm going into set and I'm with these other actors, and you never know, somebody could be positive.
Well, I feel like, if you work in nursing professionally, so you probably also, you probably have a heightened sense of how to keep yourself safe and can probably contribute to the set to make sure that everybody else is being safe. So that makes you should put that right on your resume. I am an actor who has extensive knowledge in the medical field to keep a set safe. Yep.
And I get tested weekly. So.
That's an asset. There you go. I'm surprised that's not, every actor's resume will have can ride horses, does some stunts, and get tested weekly. That should be on everybody's resume now. Anything, you just talked about a few. Do you have anything upcoming that you're going to be shooting or is closest to being released that people should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so I have a couple films. There was a United States of Horror anthology film, and I was part of 2 different states in it. So they choose, each state makes a short horror film. And I worked with George James Frazier and Scaring Sheri. It was called and that was representing New Hampshire, where I'm from. And then I also worked with Adam Griswold in Mass Destruction, representing Massachusetts. So
that sounds like a very long movie if there are 52 segments.
Yeah, but they're very, very short films.
Yeah, that's fine. They did the ABCs of Horror 1 and 2 kind of did that, where they did A to Z, and so they'd have 26 shorts that were all, couple minutes. That sounds fun.
So that's very cool. And Scaring Sheri, he actually put in a lot of different, he's submitting them to different festivals. It's doing great, getting great reviews. Yeah, so there's that. I have a couple films coming up next month that I'm filming too. So.
Amazing. As a filmmaker, I'm jealous that you're out there filming so much. It's been a very slow year.
I can't say no.
I'm the same way with music videos generally, but there just haven't been any because there's not, music industry's hit just as hard as the film industry. Anyways, not to end things on a sour note, but that about wraps it up. And thank you so much for being here and sort of sharing your stories. And I encourage people to check out Love at First Boop, Cody, and Dollhouse on Reveel'd Movies. Yeah. You're already here watching this show. Go watch the movies.
Exactly.
All right.
You won't regret it.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gavin. You're amazing. Thank you so much.